Good morning, bonjour, welcome all of you. So, here we are going to have a fantastic discussion, really. That is on the mother's final transformation and the last command. So, this is the topic of discussion we are going to discuss that will find the mightiest transformation that that all the centers or chakras that story, and finally mother will command the lord of death in her own tremendous command that we are going to have listen in the form of the last command. So that is naturally it is the end of the debate we are going to face right now. Till now we have seen death, that adventure, that journey, then thesis, antithesis, synthesis. So dream twilight of the ideal, we have found so many ways that progress, that adventure, date, debate, vanity, and finally we are at the last ditch. That is Book 10, Canto 4, The Dream Twilight of the Earthly Real. So this is the topic of discussion we are going to have to see it, behold it right now. Book 10, Canto 4, Sri Aurobindo starts, there came a slope that slowly downward sank. Of course, we will find it is a big one, almost it is having more than 25, 26 pages. So, in short, in brief, because this is, we know, as we know, it is the summarization session. So, we are going to have a brief discussion right now with it. It slipped towards a stumbling grey descent. So, the dim hat marble of the ideal was lost. Then we can find the twilight floated still, but changed its wheel hues. We know that twilight comes twice a day, at the end of the day and at the end of the night. So the twilight floated still, but changed its hues, and heavenly swathed a less delightful dream. It settled in a tired masses of the air. Just we know that a twilight we are acquainted with, we see almost every day in our life. Its symbol colors turn to duller reds. That's what we know. In the, at the end of the day, we find that duller red, that twilight we have seen, and almost seemed a lurid mist of the day. So later we can go. A foiled cinema of lit shadowy shapes enveloped in the grey mantle of a dream. So we can go across little forward. We'll see that each in his its hour eternal claimed went by. Ideal systems, sciences, poems, crafts, tireless they are perished and again recurred, sought restlessly by some creative power. So we can go a little bit towards some more we can find. Because of joy in the anguish of the pursuit, and the joy to labor and to win and lose, and the joy to create and keep, and the joy to kill. So then we can find the great destroying voice. So naturally, whatever we have gone so far, let us have a summarization, brief summarization, then we'll go listen to the voice of the death. We'll see how the for the almost at the end point we are finding the going to for the last debate, and finally we'll hear the last command. Now this is already we have told you, book 10, Canto 4, the dream twilight of the earthly real. There comes a slope slipping away from the realm of the ideal, downward to the lower levels, downward towards the lower level. Thought and sense grow heavy. Savitri sees the mountain streams, cities, harbors below with multitudes in travel. Mountains, streams, cities, harbors below, because this is go down FB in lower levels. Harbors below with multitudes in travel. In an air of uncertainty, all seem to wait for death to end their labor. All wait for death to end their labor. Before her eyes pass all the systems, philosophies, laws, and creeds. New, persisting, now perishing. That is, and now reappealing. Three things are been doing done here. Now perishing, now persisting, now perishing, and new, and again and again reappearing. All looks a meaningless dream. Ascetics call anchorites mediate, but to no purpose. The cycles roll and come back again. All are in vain. This is the scenario we find. So later we will go and listen the voice of death. A couple of lines we'll try to recite. Then we'll go for the summarization, because already we know this is a bigger one. Behold the figure of this symbol realm, its solid outlines of the creative forms inspiring the great concrete tasks of earth. So Sri Aurobindo writes here, his mind is pent in circling boundaries. For mind is man, beyond thought he can't soar. That is a great caricature, great thing is there. For mind is man, beyond thought he can't soar. If he could leave his limits, he would live safe. Final consolation, final threatening, and of course try to go for the last ditch of the compromise or something. In vain his heart lifts up to the yearning prayer, peopling with brilliant gods the formless void. Then we can find later. No aim is there is no house for aim in hurrying time. Vainly thou seekst in matters world and aim. No aim is there, but only the will to be. So you can feel there is no aim, nothing. By which again we can find here, and the sciences omnipotent in vain, by which all men learn of what the sons are made, transform all forms to serve their outward needs, on criticizing the science. Then philosophy is that strip all problems bare, but nothing ever solved since earth began. Again there is another criticism towards philosophy. These politics, architectures of man's brain that brigged with evil and good, all in man's spirit. And of course, the hero's face divine on satire's limbs, the demon's grandeur mixed with the demigods. So we can go the aimless journey that can never pause, the waking toil, the incoherent ship, song, shouts, weeping, wisdom, and the idle worlds, the laughter of men, the idle irony of the gods. So where leads the march, whither the pilgrimage is actually trying to a little bit attempt of mind is the about the mind, actually he is trying to gratify it. Mind is the author spectator actor stage. Mind all only is, and what it thinks is sin. If mind is all, then again, if you feel mind is all, then renounce the hope of bliss. If mind is all, renounce the hope of truth, for mind can never touch the body of the truth, and the mind can never see the soul of God. Only his shadow it grasps, nor hears its laugh. Only mind. Mind again is a tissue woven of light and shade, where right and wrong have sewn their mingled parts. Our mind is nature's marriage of convenance between truth and falsehood, between joy and pain. This strong, struggling pair, no court can separate. Then we can go a little bit forward. If God is there, he cares not for the world. All things he sees with calm, indifferent gaze. Again, we can go move a little bit forward. His solitary joy needs not thy love. His truth in human thinking can't dwell. If thou desirest truth, then still thy mind forever, slain by the dumb unseen line. You could just imagine how mercilessly, actually, purposefully he tries to actually persuade you to go back. There is nothing. And the body is careless, death can slay at will. Dream not to change the world that God has planned. Survive not to alter strive not to alter his eternal law. If heavens there are whose gates are shut to grief, just imagine how threatening calls. Then we can find a little turn then to God, for him leave all behind, forgetting love, forgetting Satyavan, annul thyself in his immobile peace. O soul, drown in his still beatitude, for thou must die to thyself to reach God's light. I, death, am God. Get up, immortality. So after this thing, we'll try to summarize, and we'll a little bit listen Savitri's voice. Death cries once again across the spectacle of fruitless labor. Behold this dream of creation, this malady of man's hope, dream of creation, malady of man's hope. Nothing can change, all is ruled by nature's law. Man can't soar beyond the limits of the mind set for him. That's what already we have discussed mind. In vain he prays peopling the void with brilliant gods. God, then really gods are his imaginations. God is beyond the reach of mortal time. There is no final aim in life. Life turns in cycles. The world is a myth, a legend told to himself by the mind. So everything is a creation of mind. What the Lord of Death claims here, pursues Savitri, tries to explain. Hope not to make matters world the home of God. Truth can't come there, only the thought of truth. God is not there, but only the name of God. God is above, unconcerned. His solitary joy needs not thy love. Leave this scene of sorrow and vain toil and choose the high station in the immutable shape in the eternal. Die to thyself, I death, and the gate to immortality. So later we can go for the very much good discussion that answer, the royal answer from to the sophist god as Savitri has answered. And Savitri answered to the sophist god, once more wilt thou call light to blind the truth's eyes. That is a great thing. Make knowledge a catch of the snare of ignorance, and the word to dart the slay of my living soul. Offer, O king, thy boons to tired spirits. You go, your boons are great because you are great. You go and offer it to the tired hearts, but not to me because you don't know who really I am. And hearts that could not bear the wounds of time, let those who are tied to the body and to mind. So you go and give them. But how shall I seek rest in endless peace who bow house the mighty mother's violent force? Now itself, Savitri spoke here in a very strong command, strong things. The message has been given, straight quoted. How shall I seek rest in endless peace who house the mighty mother's violent force? Her vision turned to read the enigmaed world. Then we can go later. The soul is a figure of the unmanifest because death claims that mind is all, nothing is there. So, in mother quotes, the soul is the figure of the unmanifest, the mind labors to think the unthinkable, the life to call the immortal into birth, the body to enshrine the illimitable. The world is not cut off from truth and God. So Savitri tries to explain in her hard words, strong words, concretizing the situation and her voice. Mind is like this, life, body, and the soul, these are the things. In vain thou hast dug the dark, unbridgeable gulf. In vain thou hast built the blind and doorless wall. So man's soul crosses through thee to paradise, through thee to paradise. So you are not the end, paradise is ahead of you. My mind is a torch lit from the eternal sun. My life a breath drawn by the immortal guest. My mortal body is the eternal's house. Already the torch becomes the undying ray. Already the life is the immortal's force. Then you can again see the mother quotes, mother tries to explain in her own words. If in the meaningless void creation rose, if from a bodiless force matter was born, if life could climb in the unconscious tree, if green delight breaks into the emerald leaves and its laughter of beauty blossom in the flower, if sense could wake in tissue, nerve and cell, and the thought sees the grey matter of the brain, and the soul peep through its secrecy through the flesh, how shall the nameless light not leap up on earth? And unknown powers emerge from nature's sleep. That is a great explanation. Great challenge has been put forward before Lord of Death by Savitri. Anyway, Mother quotes, Savitri quotes here, who really I am. I am not bound by thought or sense or shape. I live in the glory of the infinity. I am near to the nameless and unknowable. The ineffable is now my household mate, but standing on eternity's luminous brink, I have discovered that the world was He. So just imagine you are telling of the God in your voice, but the true God I want to explain in my language. I have met some spirit with spirit, self with self, but I have loved to the body of my God. So finally, towards the end, your mother tries to explain. I am a deputy of the aspiring world. My spirit's liberty, I ask her all. So, because we'll go for the next point of the summarization. So, before that, we'll try to summarize a little bit what really mother wants to explain here. Sri Aurobindo, Savitri answers, thou makest the word a dart to slay my living soul. Makest the word a dart to slay my living soul. Not for me are thy boons. Give them to the timid spirits who want to flee from the play of God. Those who are required, you go and give him. I can't seek rest in endless peace. In me is the mighty mother's violent force. You know, I house it. This world may be a poor translation of the truth that is beyond the idea and speech, but it is not cut off from truth and God. You know, you are explaining in a very unfamiliar way. So, in vain is thy will, O death. The light of heaven is already in our being's birth. The power of the unknown are emerging from nature's sleep. God is near, truth is close. You can't deny. You see, you know, but actually pretending as if you don't know. I have discovered that world is the body of God. A lonely freedom can't satisfy me. I am a deputy of the aspiring world. Ask my spirit's liberty for all. Then there is a change in the dread form of death, a change in his voice, through though it still rings in doubt. He speaks, will thy heart is too violent, too passionate. Touch not the ancient laws, but be tranquil, be wise. So we'll go and little bit read, and of course we'll try to summarize it later. Because Savitri is crying at Savitri, because thou knowest the wisdom that transcends both veil of forms and the contempt of forms. So thou mightst have been, if free, thou hadst kept thy mind from life's fierce race, thou mightst have been like them, omniscient calm. But the violent and passionate heart forbids. It is the storm bird of an anarch power. Death's rule and law and unknowable will. So you can go a little bit, so tries to explain and of course threaten. Mighty art thou with dread goddess filled, thou to whom thou criest at dawn in the dim woods. Already in the death of the forest we have seen. In the morning she worshipped the carved goddess on the stone, and it was carved by Satyavan, her husband. Mighty art thou with dread goddess filled, to whom thou criest at dawn in the dim woods. Use not thy strength like the wild titan souls. Touch not the seated lines, the ancient laws. Respect the calm of great established things. So let us have a few lines summarization. Then death is touch not the ancient laws, be tranquil and wise. Then, of course, Savitri's reply we can hear in a couple of original lines we'll see. So, what is the calm thou bonds to the huge god? Savitri replies. What is the calm you thou bonds to a law or death? Is it not in the dull vision trade not? Then vain is the souls of its changeless, if the changeless law is all. So I triumph on thy law with living feet, for to rise in freedom I was born. So your mother quotes about my own speciality. For to rise in freedom I was born. If I am mighty, let my force be unveiled, equal companion of the deathless powers. Or else, if I am not mighty, then let my frustrated soul sink back unworthy of Godhead in the original sleep. Very clear. Do or die, here or there, not in the middle term. Then death replied to her very interestingly. Why should the noble and immortal will stoop to the petty works of transient earth? Very conciliatory, very small and narrow voice is trying to now persuade, now to mollify. Freedom forgotten and the eternal's path. Then we can go a little bit. I run where his then actually she answers. Straight I trample on the road. I run where his sweet, dreadful voice commands, and I am driven by the reins of God. For heaven can wait our coming on its come. Easy the heavens were to build for God. Earth was his difficult matter, earth the glory. Then we can go a little bit forward. We can find the steer window as quoted. This is my answer to the lures of death. And this is after hearing this, we can find again death's denial made her cry. However mighty, whatever thy secret name uttered in hidden conflicts of the gods, thy heart's ephemeral passion can't break the iron rampart of accomplished things. I won't let you. I won't send you at all because it is destined. The cosmic law is greater than thy will. Even God himself obeys the laws he made. The law abides and never can it change. So again we can find the beautiful description we can find here. Two powers real but to each other untrue. Two concert stars in the moonlight of mind. That towards two opposite horizons gaze. The white head and the black tail of the mystic drake. So it is in the way we can find. Show me the body of the, that is the death's reply. Show me the body of the living truth, or draw for me the outline of her face, that I too may obey and worship her. Then I will give back to thee thy Satyavan. But here are only facts and stone-bound law. This truth I know, that Satyavan is dead. And even thy sweetness can lure him back. No magic truth can bring the dead into life. No power of earth cancel the thing once done. Never. It is simply unchangeable, that I know. No joy of the heart can last surviving death. No bliss persuade the past to live again. So, it is my lure. You can go. Live then thy dead and go Savitri and live. So, but till now, let us have few lines summarization. We'll see. Savitri, changeless is not all. Dull fixity may be well for inanimate things. Dull fixity may be well for inanimate things, but man is meant for a noble work. I triumph upon thy law. I claim the for time my will's eternity. Then death replies, why should the immortal will stoop to this petty earth? Is thine the right to use its high strength and thought to grasp these little shreds of earthly life? Why dost you keep him whom thou lovest from the grand release of the heavens? Then Savitri, I am driven by God to build his glory on the earth. I am driven by God to build his glory on earth. My soul is free to play with love and beauty. Soul is free to play with love and beauty. Most bound, the soul is most free. Heaven can wait. The vigor of life is wonderful. Death, whatever be the source of thy strength, I don't claim, I don't care. The cosmic law is greater than thy will. What and where is the truth thou speakest of? All that is patent is the conflict between two contrary powers in this world. All is an enigma. Eternal truth lives not in the mortal man. That is the problem. You know, you are simply claiming in your own way. If she is within thee, show me the body of the living truth, that I may worship her. I know only truth, that truth, and that is that nothing can bring back dead to life. Seek thy solace in life, O Savitri. Then Savitri answers. As she answers, her mortality disappears. That is a great point to be noted. As she answers, her mortality disappears. Her goddess self appears in her eyes. She speaks. O death, thou too art God. Thou art only his black shadow. Thou art his dark head. All contraries are aspects of the God's face. But you are God, but not he. One and many, personal and impersonal, silence and word, darkness and light. All this duality you can find. One and many, personal and impersonal, silence and word, darkness and light. All are the contraries needed for its great world task. So that himself deliberately he has a plan to do so, go that way. He is all and transcends all. There is a plan, an intelligence in this world movement. The supreme truth has forced to the world to be. The infinity flowers in the finity. The soul grows slowly from the imprisonment in the matter's trance and gazes on the peaks of existence when man wakes into the spiritual mind. Because now, man is confined in a within matter, imprisoned in matter, but now he is freed. He is moving towards the spiritual mind, wakes into spiritual mind and gazes atop. The embodied spirit in its flight enters into the cosmic empire of the overmind. Not in the ordinary mind, to the overmind, and then to the glorious kingdom of the eternal light, which reigns truth supreme. Overmind and supermind, he is moving forward, glimpses, gazes. Not true. Then there is a truth, the light, the love, the bliss for which the whole world yearns. But who can show to thee truth's glorious face, O death? If thou were to touch the truth, thou wouldst cease to be. That is a beautiful thing. I'll try to few lines only. His being is a mystery beyond mind. He ways bewilder in his ways bewilder mortal ignorance. The finite in its little sections part. Then the eyes that see a part and miss the whole. The surface men scan. The depths refuse their search. So the silence bears the eternal's great dumb seal. His light inspires the eternal word. He is the immobile's deep and the deathless hush. The many are the innumerable one. One carries the multitude in his breast. He is the impersonal, inscrutable soul. He is the one infinity person seeing his world. So thou art God, yet not he, but only his black shadow on his path. Then you can go. A shroud of death, a shroud of ignorance. A truth supreme has forced the world to be. It has wrapped itself in matter as in a shroud of death, a shroud of ignorance. But later we have seen. At last he wakes into spiritual mind. Just now we saw a high liberty begins in a luminous room. He glimpses eternity, touches the infinity. He meets the God in great and sudden hours. He feels the universe as his larger self. Makes space and time his opportunity. Then we can go little on summit mind are radiant altitudes exposed to the luster of infinity. So the heart glows and illuminate and a seer and the sense is kindled into identity. Little bit the word, mighty and inspiring voice enters truth inmost cabin of privacy and tears away the veil from God and life. About the overmind we just now we saw the cosmic empire of the overmind, time's buffer state bordering eternity, too fast for the experience of man's soul. All here gathers beneath one golden sky. So the world's contradictions climb to her and are one. There is a truth of which this world's truths are threads. The mighty mother sits in lucent calm and holds the eternal child upon her knees. Then the light of which the world's ignorance is shed till truth draws back the shade it has cast. The love our hearts call down to heal all strife, the bliss for which the world's derelict sorrow yearns. The truth of God surprising human life. The image of God overtaking finite shapes. There in a world of everlasting mind. After the discussion of this overmind, we have gone to the supermind. Within the realm of the immortal supermind, truth who hides here her head in mystery. Her riddle dreamed by reason impossible. So that is the great description on the realms of the supermind we have gone. So the truth supreme, vast and impersonal, feeds thoughtlessly the hour and circumstance. We can go a little bit. The all blissful, the all wonderful makes a marvel of each event. We know. The all wonderful makes a marvel of each event. The all beautiful is a miracle in each shape. So a pure celestial joy is the use of sense. So then again, who can show to the truth's glorious face? Already we have seen. Our human words are only can shadow her. To thought she is the unthinkable rapture of light, to speech a marvel inexpressible. O death, if thou couldst touch the truth supreme, thou wouldst to grow suddenly wise cease to be. That is what. Then death, of course, for the last time. I will tell you, for the last time, it was his last word. If truth supreme transcends the her shadow here, then she is speaking, severed by knowledge and the climbing pass. What bridge can cross the gulf and that she has left between her and the dream world she made? Or who can hope to bring her into down the main? That is what. So we can find the great thing, great negation. His voice we can hear, listening here. If knowledge brings not power to change the world, if might comes not to grip to truth or right, a blind force not truth, then has made this ignorant world. A blind force not truth orders the lives of men. By power, not light, the great gods rule the world. Power is the arm of God, the seal of fate. Then, of course, challenge gives puts challenge before Savitri. O human, climb unto immortality, reveal thy power, lay bare thy spirit's force, then will I give back to thee Satyavan. Or if the mighty mother is with thee, show me her face that I may worship her. Then towards the end, let the deathless eyes look into the eyes of death, and imperishable force touching brute things transform earth's death into immortal life. Then can thy dead return to thee and live. So let us summarize, then we'll go for that Bhubaneswari Rupa. Already we have seen and we'll hear the last command. This is the last couple of sentences wanted by the Lord of Death. If truth supreme, little for the last time, I am repeating it again. If truth supreme transcends our shadow here, what is the bridge to span the gulf? Again, truth speaks through thy words, but where is the strength to conquer time and death? Truth is there, but you don't have strength. O human, climb into immortality. Reveal thy power, bear thy spirit's face, then will I give back to thee Satyavan. Show me the face of the mighty mother, and if she is with thee. Savitri looks at death because that transformation comes. You can see seven chakra centers you can find. She does not answer. A mighty transformation comes over her. The immortal's luster fills her and overflows, making the air luminous sea. The incarnation thrust aside its veil. Already we have known this uncovering yourself, ourself. Mighty transformation come. The incarnation thrust aside its veil. A power and a presence from her being's summit comes down into her. Power and presence. From center to by center, we have seen that all seven centers, it moves still, it smites the thousand hooded serpent force which blazes upwards and clasps the world soul above. From Kundalini, to be different sub cells, chakras we have seen. Eternity looks into the eyes of death, a voice is heard in the stillness. That's what already we have seen, we have discussed a little bit about the different chakras and all. We have in of course in other other way, in other formats we have discussed. That is what one is Muladhara physical, second one is your below navel lower, that is Swadhisthana, lower vital, third center is Manipura or Navi Padma in the navel center or larger vital. Number 4 is Anahata or Hrutpadma, emotional center. Number 5 is Visuddha Chakra, throat center, expression and externalizing mind. Sixth one is Agnya Chakra, Agnya, middle of the forehead, will, vision and dynamic thought. And finally we can find that Sahasradhala Chakra, thousand petal lotus on the top of the head. So from Kundalini everything is rising upward. That's what we have seen, that everything took place in her. That description is there in a great way. Then we find the last command after being transformed stands before the Lord of Death and commands. This is in the format of the last command, how I quote. I hail thee, almighty death, darkness of the infinity. Thou art my shadow and my instrument. You just imagine. I have given to thee thy awful shape of dread and the sword of terror to force the soul of man to struggle for light. Everything is given by me. You are my instrument. You are helping the mankind race and the soul to struggle for so that they can struggle for light and God. Thou art the whip to man's yearning for eternal bliss, whip to man's yearning for eternal bliss. Live a while, O death, and still be my instrument. But now stand aside and leave the path of the incarnate force. Release the soul of the world called Satyavan. Just imagine, couple of lines, no, not more. We'll try to read in from original letters we can find. Sri Aurobindo quotes about the chakra and all we have seen. It stirred the lotus of her throat of song, then came down and held the center of our brow. So it poured into her navel lotus depths. Then we can find again different. It glided into the lotus of our heart. That chakra we can see, we can find. Joined matter's dominance to the spirit's us and filled art's acts with the spirit's silent power. Thus changed, she waited for the word to speak. That word already we have seen. I hail thee, almighty and the victorious death, thou grandiose darkness of the infinity. O void, thou that makest room for all to be, hunger that gnawest at the universe, consuming the cold remnants of the sun. Again, inconscience, carrier of the seeds of thought, nescience in which all knowledge sleeps entombed. I have given thee thy awful shape of dread and thy sharp sword of terror and grief and pain to force the soul of man to struggle for light. One day, leave death awhile, be still my instrument. One day, men too shall know thy fathomless heart. But now, O timeless mightiness, stand aside and reap the path of my incarnate force. Relieve the radiant God from thy black mask. Release the soul of the world called Satyavan. Freed from thy clutch of pain and ignorance, that he may stand master of the life and fate, man's representative in the house of God, the mate of wisdom and the spouse of light, the eternal bridegroom of the eternal bride. Just imagine who really Satyavan is and who really Savitri is. What is the real relation between the Divine Mother, of course, Savitri in form of Savitri, and the Lord of Death who claims he is all. And here you can find about the marriage, love, and all. Really, you can find what is the purpose of the mother's incarnation. Everything is very much clear in a clear tongue. Savitri has explained, commanded through the last couple of lines. You can understand the last voice. Anyway, after seeing everything, death still rages. The two oppose each other face to face. That great resistance is there. Soon her intolerable force weighs upon him. Her light licks him up. Her light licks him up. His darkness perishes in her blaze. Because as the sunlight comes, the darkness perishes, moves forward, vanishes. So his darkness perishes in her blaze. He calls to night, but she falls back. Calls to night, but she falls back. He calls to hell, but it retires. Then again, what happens? He turns to the inconscient for support, but it draws him back towards the void. His body is eaten by light, because already in the most of the scenario discussion we have seen that is a great darkness. His body is eaten by light. His spirit is devoured. He recognized that defeat is inevitable and flees, dreading her touch. Knows very much clear that defeat is inevitable. Then what happens really in the true scenario? Before some time we found something stood there unearthly, somber, great. His very presence is a calamity. Now itself is moving forward. The shadow disappears. Savitri and Satyavan were alone. Neither stirs. A mute, translucent wall arises up between them. Nothing moves. all waits on the unknown inscrutable will of God. That is what is seen. Anyway, it is a great topic, great discussion, of course, a great scenario, because it is the time, real time we waited when really the result will be declared. It is the victory of love over death, victory of the Divine Mother over the Lord of death. So, few lines only we can find. His body was eaten up by light, his spirit devoured. At last he knew defeat inevitable and left crumbling the shape that he had worn. Finally, the twilight realm passed, fading from their souls, and Satyavan and Savitri were alone. But neither tired. Between those figures arose a mute, invisible, and translucent wall. Then, in the long blank moment spots, nothing could move. All waited on the unknown, inscrutable will. Great description, great term, great topic. No doubt of it. There is, of course, it is greater than the greats. So let us wait, have our gratitude at the golden feet of the mother. We must express our gratitude, because this is a great day. On this day we can find right now victory of love over death. Bande Mataram.